Welcome to
The Savory Scoop.
This is a conscious, safe space where we talk about mindset, wellness, and nutrition. Today's conscious conversation is about practice over perfection. Ladies, what are your thoughts on this topic?
Lisa, this is a great topic. I don't know about you guys, but I have definitely struggled with this. Just with my personality really tends towards perfectionism. So I've always really struggled, as I'm sure you both can relate to, with just starting projects, the fear of failing, the fear of it not being perfect. It's been with me for a very, very long time.
Yeah, me too. I struggle with perfectionism for so much of my life, especially when building my business and creating projects or PowerPoints or writing even, or designing a website, any of that kind of stuff. And it really just held me back from launching and just getting started, So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it can kind of seep into all areas of our lives. It can be with projects. Sometimes you think you have to be a perfect partner, relationship, perfect mom, perfect friend, daughter, sister, whatever it is. It can really creep into all areas of our lives. And I is it a women thing? Do you think because I'm on this, I went through very similar experiences like the two of you.
Yeah.
I also was a perfectionist, which means you're so hard on yourself all the time, right? Wondering if you're making the right decision, wondering if you're doing the right thing for your kids, wondering if you're doing the right thing for yourself. Yeah, it really impacts all of it.
And like what you said before, the analysis paralysis, it just stops you and you can get stuck, and overthink things.
And procrastinate
Yes.
on making those decisions.
Absolutely.
For so long. It's terrible. So I have a kind of funny example from my childhood about my struggle with perfectionism. So my mom used to give us essay prompts sometimes, just growing up. And
Wow.
yeah, so she would say okay, you guys, write an essay on whatever topic. And so once the topic was, what is the most precious thing in the world? And, you write your whole 5-paragraph essay, the intro and the conclusion and the 3 reasons in between, right? And I don't remember how old I must have been. I don't know, maybe 13, maybe 12. I don't remember how old I was. But I was thinking, okay, the most precious thing in the world, family, family and, love, community. But I could not start. I did not know how to start. And I just had my name and the date on the piece of paper. And basically after 30 minutes or an hour, all I had to show for all this headache was just a few droplets of tears on that piece of paper. No words written. Literally just the prompt. And just tears on the piece of paper. Meanwhile, my little sister, ran out with a piece of paper and, she, had it all done. And it was, diamonds. Diamonds are the most precious thing. It was just one of those things where,
Yeah.
I knew what I wanted to talk about. But, it's just starting is the hardest part,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
Starting is the hardest part. So yeah, this started from a very young age for me and just has been a struggle ever since to this very day. Yeah. So what do you guys have to share? You like my story?
I love your story.
I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's very cool that your mom did that. Wow.
Yeah. I was going to say, is your mom a teacher?
No, she just really encouraged academics,
Nice.
from a super early age. And we were studying SAT words during the summer, starting in 3rd grade, 4th grade.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
Well,
have a
this is a balance, but okay,
story.
no.
Yeah. But I do have a story to share. So this is when I got my yoga teacher training completed, and I knew I wanted to start teaching yoga, and like this online presence was like becoming a thing where everyone had a website, and I am so like technologically challenged, or was challenged. Now I think I figured, like, I know that you can Google a lot of these things now or YouTube it. So I had to create a website, and it took for like months. I would just sit on that thought, like, oh, I have to do this, right? But like to get started, it was so difficult. So I can totally relate to that. I finally, like after like 6 months, I came across this blog on the minimalists. I follow them, like, I stalked them actually, like, because they would show up in Tampa and I would go to there because I was like learning how to minimize the things that I owned, and the emotional clutter, all of that. So they had a blog on how to launch a website, and I just sat there and then I followed line by line, and it was like pretty simple, like it wasn't like complicated, and I ended up doing it in 2 days, but I spent 6 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
You needed to simplify.
Yes. It was just like, and it wasn't like a perfect, beautiful website, but I had something up. But I sat on it for 6 months thinking it's going to be like so complicated. So, like you said, it was just like that struggle of like, just sit and try, like do it. It doesn't matter if it's not perfect.
Yeah, sometimes that's the hardest thing. It's so daunting just to get started. But, I always say imperfection is perfection, really, because practice really helps you to, day by day, when you're being consistent, to make mistakes and to learn from those mistakes and then make a shift. And that's okay. And to forgive yourself and to not fall into that perfectionism of like, what are we afraid of? Is like being judged, being rejected, all of those things. And, not to overthink and to judge ourselves and just be gentle with ourselves, so important.
Yes. That so what you just said just reminded me of something. It was with a therapist I saw like over a year ago or so. She said most things in life aren't perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like even in nature, anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? So why strive for something that doesn't exist? It's not possible. Most things in life aren't perfect.
But who makes that rule? Like, what is
Right.
perfect?
Right.
That's some type of
Here.
conditioning that either
Yeah.
society has created or, you grew up with some type of conditioning culturally or something, or you saw something somewhere online or in a magazine or some idealistic, concept of what perfect is. When nothing, everything is, nature. Like you said, it's asymmetric. Like, we're asymmetric, and that's
Right.
perfection.
Very true. Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was also recognizing, like listening to both of you talking about imperfection and finding beauty in that. And,
Yes.
you know, not being so judgmental with everything that we do, whether it's trying to have a perfect career, perfect body, perfect relationship, all the roles that we play. We really have to bring that non-judgmental mindset, because without it, I think it goes back to what you said. We just like feel paralyzed. We can't make decisions whether to, take that leap, find love, for example, because that can be scary too, right? Finding
Yeah.
love, or finding that partner. That's taking a chance and showing your imperfect self,
Yeah.
which is beautiful, right?
And if you don't try and you don't fail, there's no growth
Absolutely.
of any sort. Like, what do we expect that we're just, without any sort of practice, without any trials, that we're gonna like do something, paint something that's absolutely perfect?
Yeah.
That's absolutely unrealistic. You know, that's just,
Yeah. Yeah, I do remember like in relationships, like we all have triggers, right? And especially when you're starting out in a new relationship, the triggers are possibly from your past experiences. And we don't even know that there are triggers, and we just like react. And what I used to do was, after reacting, I would beat myself up and be like, why did I react that way? I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have gotten upset. I shouldn't have gotten angry. I shouldn't have said that. And there's this constant, like, you'd be in that judgmental, self judging the whole time about what happened, how it played out. And it wasn't until, I started practicing like journaling and meditation and noticing my thought patterns that I could recognize like the triggers. Okay, it could have happened like the day before, but I can still contemplate on it the next day, right? Find out where the trigger was, why it happened, and then also forgive myself and know that, hey, I may not be perfect for the next 50 years, but at least now I know the trigger, and I can start to, once you know the trigger, the intensity lessens, I feel like, when you get triggered, because now you already know why it's coming up and that it has nothing to do with the other person. So that practice of journaling and noticing my triggers, and I feel like it's a lifelong practice, because we will continuously have new triggers based on the experiences that we continue to have as we live. So that's helped me tremendously, those practices.
Yeah, it's a daily practice and
Yeah.
it's constant. And it can be something different every day. It can be several different things throughout the day, but practicing catching ourselves, either, when we speak to ourselves unkindly, our inner thoughts or different patterns that we have, will help us to learn those lessons. Like, we don't take L's, right? We take lessons. We don't take losses. We take lessons.
what is the L?
L. It's like
like
losses.
that,
Yeah. It's lessons.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's so
And
very
with
true.
food, practicing to be more mindful and consistent with your eating habits just really helps you to form those good habits over time. It's not going to happen right away. It's taking those small shifts and then daily creating a very close self-awareness and relationship with your body, and then continuing to learn and practice every day, and it's practice towards not perfection, but being the best version of yourself and feeling healthy and having a great relationship with yourself rather than perfectionism.
I'm so glad you brought up like perfectionism in diet, because that's definitely something where when we, like, at least, from my personal perspective and in my like experience as a physician, you can't tell people to just, well, you're going to cut this out and that's it forever. That's like really big. That's really daunting. And that's really hard for people to do. Just the thought of like never eating that one thing ever again is really difficult to grasp, and it makes it really hard. And so I definitely say, practice over perfection when it comes to those things. Like, add the healthy foods into the diet, and over time you can crowd out some of the unhealthy food habits, right? And it's about having more good days than bad. The bad days
Yeah.
are going to be there. There's no life without bad days. That'd be really strange if we just always had good days, right?
Exactly. We wouldn't learn anything. We wouldn't
anything.
evolve. We wouldn't
Yeah,
grow.
Yes.
Exactly. And like how you were mentioning about just learning from each experience, well, what happened that day prior, and why did I make that decision to eat that food as opposed to the other?
Yeah.
And just practicing that introspection
Yeah.
and aiming, yeah, exactly, not for perfection, because we can't be perfect in diet or in anything.
Right.
And it's really hard because this is going in a bit into something else, but if you really strive for that perfect diet, it can lead to other issues, right?
Absolutely.
And that's terrible, and burnout and
Yes.
stress and just an unhealthy environment.
You all can probably relate also that when you do start to be mindful about eating and you eliminate those things that personally hurt your body, because we're all different. You know, there are different triggers for everybody. It's not one diet fits all. That when you are consistent and you're practicing and you do reintroduce those unhealthy things or those triggers that make you feel bad, you really feel it more. So that's really the learning lesson of having that deep self-awareness with your body, with your nutrition.
Yeah. Yeah. Connection with your body is everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And I go back to always the comedians. Like when I would try something new, you know how the comedians, they always go to, they don't know if their jokes are gonna, have an impact, like if people are gonna laugh or
Yeah.
not. And most of the time, like they would go to these smaller clubs to test it out, right? And it can be humiliating when people don't laugh, right, at your jokes as a comedian. But what I've learned over the years is it's kind of good to embarrass yourself,
Yeah.
right? To make fun of yourself and put yourself in situations where you will get embarrassed so that embarrassment is no longer an obstacle,
Yeah. I love that. It's very true.
right?
I totally agree, and same goes for rejection.
Yeah.
Right? And you try
Yes.
for something, or you're trying to, someone trying to publish a book or invent something, and you try and you try and you try, and you get rejected by the publishing company or whatnot, but you got to keep going, and it's okay to have that rejection. It's okay to have that failure. There's so many people, so many inventors, so many artists who, if they had just quit after being rejected once,
Yeah.
man, it would be a really sad place.
Oh my gosh.
We wouldn't have any of their gifts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's-
I always
that's
tell my
huge.
kids, if you want something, or you have a question, don't be afraid to just ask. The answer is either going to be yes or no. And either way, it just is what it is. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so practice over perfection. I just love how both of you share there is no such thing as perfection. Like that releases this heavy feeling in your body, right? Like you don't have to be perfect. Then you're open to be the best version of yourself because you are giving yourself space to evolve. And there's no my husband always talks about the infinite game. Like it's not a finite game. It's infinite. Like so it's always practicing and just letting go of that need to be validated.
Yes.
And we all have the need to be loved and accepted, but sometimes we look in the wrong places, and that's where that need to be perfect or analysis paralysis kicks in because we're afraid
Yeah.
to try.
Absolutely. I just thought about how, we only ever see, like, if it's someone's business that's going well, or a TV show or a song or something, we see the end product,
Yeah.
right? We don't see all the years of practice, all the struggles, all of that went into that. Same with, people putting out content on social media and stuff. The perfectionism surrounding that, filters that are used, that people put so much time into that and effort into just short little seconds of little entertainment, and you look at it and you're like, oh wow, that person is so perfect, they did it so well, wow, I'll never be able to do this. And it's like you're comparing apples to oranges, right?
Yes.
You're comparing one person's, however long it took them to practice that art, that craft, whether it's singing or painting or makeup or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Right? It's just so, it's so interesting.
It took me over a decade to get to where I am now with owning a restaurant and just all that I've created there, with my team. It's just amazing. But all of the struggles and the trials and errors of building my business and trying to find my niche and everything, I never knew that I would be here, but I never gave up, and I practiced and I did the work on myself and the daily habits and releasing that perfectionism. And, one day it just clicked.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's such a great story. I love hearing that. It's almost like it's okay to have those moments of self-doubt but don't give up.
Yeah.
Right? Continue to work through those obstacles, work through the self-doubt, and have people that inspire you around, us, basically.
100%.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, you two are really inspiring me because, as you know, I'm wanting to start my own business at some point. And it's really inspirational to see you both having done that and going through that struggle of perfectionism. So I'm just so proud of both of you for
Thank you.
how
Thank you.
far you all have come, and looking forward to picking your brains.
Ditto.
Yeah.
This is
same
definitely
here,
something I still
exactly.
very much struggle with.
Well,
Exactly.
speaking of practicing, ladies, we have a question that's came in. Chris Lee would like to know, what is your favorite practice?
For me, early mornings are definitely where I enjoy the practice the most. And the reason for that is because when you wake up, you're not tired, you're not mentally exhausted. So my favorite time in the morning is when I am drinking it used to be coffee, but now I drink my warm or hot water in the morning, and I would just sit with it, read something spiritual. That's my practice.
I love that. I also have to agree right now, my favorite practice, and Debbie and I were talking about this on our way here, but I've been waking up early and exercising first thing in the morning, and that is not a perfect habit right now, and that's fine. I'm totally fine with where it's at. I'm just really excited that I've been exercising and then meditating for like 20 minutes, and it really just sets the tone for the rest of the day. And this is not something I had done before.
This is a new thing.
This is a new thing.
It's great,
Because
yeah.
I always was like, okay, let's work out after work, and that never happens because I'm exhausted after work. So now I've accepted nothing's truly productive for me personally happens after 5 p.m. Like after I'm done with the workday, I'm just like drained. So for me, I've got to embrace the morning. There's no way around it. So that's the journey I'm on.
Yeah. I have a morning and bedtime practice. So I'll do at least 5 minutes because we're all super, super busy. But, I allow myself to do at least 5 minutes and then just kind of let it go and take off wherever it goes to. But I also always practice as soon as I come to, like I say thank you. And I do all of my positive affirmations. I set an intention for the day. I do a little bit of bed yoga. And then, wherever that may lead to me doing, more yoga or exercising. And then, of course, I have my little morning ritual. I'm pretty, ritualistic when I do my little morning ritual. But at night before I go to bed, I do the same thing. I close my eyes. I say thank you. I release all energy that doesn't belong to me. I release all things, no longer serving me. And I do my meditation before I go to sleep every day.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I love it.
I know, me too.
That's fantastic. Well, if you have any questions, you can email us at connect@thesavoryscoop.com, or if you watch us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to us, and you can put your questions in the comments below. And you can also find us on social media at The Savory Scoop, so make sure you follow us on Facebook and Instagram.
Well, thank you all for being here, and thank you, ladies, for
Thank
being a part of this
you.
topic. And what are we leaving today? We usually share like an affirmation or some kind of positive note, right? So, would you
for
like to
me,
go?
I'm actually gonna go with be love. Just be love.
It's funny. That's exactly what came to my
Really?
mind too.
Oh, that's gonna be ours.
I was gonna say
Both of ours.
that's yeah. Let's just leave it at that. Be love. Yeah. How about you?
Practice forgiveness.
Very nice. All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and we will see you next time.